Hello there, it's Kurduk from Kurduk Studio here. In this episode, I'd like to continue discussing the terminal minigame, and also, as more feedback came out of the playtest, I'll discuss the feedback that concerns the terminal. Also, your support means a lot, so if you can hit the thumbs up and subscribe buttons, that will really help to spread the word. First off, why is this minigame so important for the game? Several times you might hear things from me like, it's an integral part of the game or it's a main feature, but some might be wondering why. Well, the thing is, the whole game is planned as one big story-driven puzzle. The main character is a security specialist in IT who is working his way up the platform. Given this fact, it was logical for me to incorporate terminal puzzles into the game in big numbers, and by big numbers I really mean it. While in the prologue chapter players won't engage with many terminals, to make the introduction to the concept a bit more friendly, starting from chapter 1, there will be quite a lot of areas that the player will have to hack in order to gain access. And it won't be just terminals there to hack, well, even though all of them are kind of terminals. What I mean by that is that there will be doors that need to be hacked, cameras and regular computers. The plan is also to introduce more complicated security systems. There will be areas that won't be accessible to players until the Wi-Fi module is unlocked. With the Wi-Fi module, players will be able to connect to terminals that are physically unreachable, and that provides the possibility to further explore the world. Not only in newly accessible zones, but also in those the player has visited before. I think that's nice, as previously unlocked areas will gain new potential for exploration. I hope that answers the question of why this feature is so important for the game. Now, on to some of the feedback I received recently. All the feedback regarding the terminal is quite consistent on one particular point: it's too hard. And it wasn't just one person saying this, which caused some concern for me. However, after some contemplation and conversations with a few people, I think I found a way forward by gradually introducing new commands that should be used to clear a terminal. I'd also like to introduce one particular terminal where the player will be able to master all commands and concepts. As I'll be changing the quests anyway to address this, as the last part of this episode I'll showcase the terminal and the related quests that cause so much trouble. So you can judge for yourself whether it's hard or not, though honestly it probably is. So, literally about 5 to 10 minutes after a fresh start, you end up in an office with this ambiguous quest tab. You find the terminal quite quickly and go through a new tutorial that introduces in-game networking. To elaborate on this, the network connects several terminals or computers, if you will. There is a map and command that can show the player all terminals on the network. And if a machine is on the network, it can potentially be remoted into. To remote into another terminal on the network, you'll need to know the user and password, which you can use to connect, and that is part of this particular quest and future quests. At the end of the tutorial, the game pretty much tells you that you're on your own, and here is where the problem started for most people. What to do next, where to go, what to type. Oh, I forgot which commands are there and what they do. These were questions some players ended up with right after the tutorial. You have a blank screen and don't know what to do. Now, I'll show you how the quest is supposed to be cracked. First, during the tutorial, the player finds the PWS text file, where login information for the DAB terminal can be found. After remoting into that terminal, there are a few folders to explore. But what we really need is another file that contains login information for the terminal the two gentlemen discussed earlier, the one that ends with an 8. With this information, we can remote into the EUG terminal, again with a few folders to explore, where we'll find the findings.odf file. When attempting to output the contents of that file, we're presented with some dialogue and the quest advances. Looking at all this now, I really understand the struggle, so as I said, the introduction to the terminal will be much more gradual going forward. But what do you think about this? Would this be too hard or too easy for you personally? Or maybe it would be just fine? Please comment on this, as I'd really appreciate more feedback and thoughts. That's really it for this video. Have a very nice day, night, or whichever time of the day it is for you now, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.